Hi, this is Karen Gaines, your nonprofit finance guide, and today I'm going to talk about 5 consequences of weak internal controls. So, internal controls are processes put in place to prevent errors and deter and prevent fraud. It's especially important for nonprofits to have internal controls as they are responsible for donations that come in and funding that come in from the community. Okay, having these internal controls ensures that the folks who have made donations, made contributions, that their funds are being treated responsibly. Okay? Having internal controls ensures that the financial statements are accurate. And overall, it just builds public trust. All right? So, when internal controls are not in place, assets are not protected, and the organization becomes a breeding ground for errors and fraud. So you really want to have those internal controls in place. So here are 5 consequences of weak internal controls. All right. So number one, you produce inaccurate financial statements. So the financial statements can't be relied upon as they are likely full of mistakes since there's no process catching those mistakes and errors. Okay, those errors could be, a duplication of expenses. It could be missing transaction, missing revenue, missing expenses. Amounts are not tying out to reports, reconciliations, and statements like they should. And so, as a result, you can't rely on the financial statements. They're wrong. And, the executive director, they're looking at the financial statements and are likely making inaccurate decisions, wrong decisions, because the financial statements aren't right. Same could go with donors in other third party individuals because they are too looking at those financial statements, relying on them, and they're thinking that they're looking at something accurate when it's not, and they're making wrong decisions. Okay, so number one, inaccurate financial statements. Number two is organizational confusion. When you lack internal controls, it leads to a lot of confusion in the organization. So, since processes are lacking, it's likely that expectations are not known of the individuals that are helping out, volunteers, employees, and everyone is just kind of doing what they think is proper, what they think is okay within the organization. And what happens is it leads to a lot of confusion. Now, internal controls includes having processes in place. So when there are no processes in place, it leads to, again, everyone just doing what they think is good, within themselves. Okay. And also as a result of this, essentially organizational chaos that can be produced from this is that the consumers are receiving less care. They don't receive the services that they need, or they are receiving, partial services. Okay, and if it's bad enough, if there's enough confusion, the public is going to notice it as well. And they're going to think again, we can't trust this nonprofit. We can't trust this organization. They seem very unorganized. It just seems chaotic. And if there is a donor or potential donor looking at this, they may think twice about donating funds to the nonprofit. All right. So number three, let's move on to number three of the consequences of weak internal controls, and it is theft. All right. So since internal controls are not in place, it becomes an easy place in which someone could come in and steal your assets and especially cash. And it may not happen immediately. The folks who are working at, a particular nonprofit or your nonprofit, they actually may be honest individuals, but, it's only a matter of time before someone dishonest comes through. Or maybe, the folks that are working with you now, currently, they may have a situation that comes up that may prompt them to steal. They may have an emergency where they need to pay their rent or they get evicted. Something could come up. So you want to put those internal controls in place to prevent folks from stealing your assets, specifically cash. Okay. Number four, when you don't have internal controls in place, you tend to waste resources. And this is especially true when it comes to time and money. What happens is employees and volunteers, they end up doing duplicate type work, okay? And that's wasting time. That's wasting resources right there. Multiple purchases could be made of the same item. And the ultimate result is being irresponsible with the resources given, being irresponsible with the volunteers that you have, with the donations that are given to you. Okay, you're just being wasteful, and sometimes, people equate that to theft. It's not as bad as theft, but it's being negligent. It's being irresponsible. All right, so. You want to get internal controls in place. You want to get processes in place so that you are not being wasteful. And then number 5, when there are weak internal controls in place, it does damage to your reputation. Okay, and that is really hard to repair. Once the public notices the wastefulness, fraud, the chaos, confusion, the trust is going to falter. They're not going to be so willing to provide funding to the nonprofit. They are going to look at it, the public is going to look at it, and they're going to come up with their own conclusions, with their own opinions. Whether those opinions are right or not, it kind of don't matter. They're going to come up with them, and it's probably going to be negative. All right. And it's just really hard to rebuild that trust. It can be rebuilt, but it's going to take a whole lot of effort. All right. So, you want to make sure you have those controls in place so the public will trust you and your reputation is solid. Okay. So, if you don't have internal controls in place already, please consider doing so. So your financial statements can be stable. They can be relied upon. All right. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. Let me know what you all think. If you're watching via YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day.